And we're live here on a Tuesday night from the NBC Sports California World Headquarters in San Francisco. It was frustrating in Las Vegas. Sharks lose the game. Sharks don't get a lot of chances. Sharks lose their backbone of the last couple months, James Reimer, after 20 minutes due to some kind of injury. Lower body, how it happened, how bad is it? We don't really know at this point. But it kind of fits into a theme of unfortunate events lately. Losing games, losing players. There's a lot of struggles going on. Let's start Sharks Night Shift.
Broadcasting live and worldwide. Here's Brody Brazil.
Can you hear me now? Yes, I know you can. I can see the audio levels. I've made it a point to always triple check my engineering before I do one of these live streams. Last time it was on Sunday, right? I was on for about a good 10 minutes just talking to myself because none of you could actually hear me. Literally one plug in the back of this I forgot to put in. And because of that, I embarrassed myself. And I used all my good material in the first 10 minutes, and you never heard it. Anyway, long story short, here we are. I appreciate you for being here, especially after a night like this. A lot of storylines to get to. Mostly not even game related anymore at this point. Things like this. Sharks have now lost 11 straight times to Las Vegas over the last couple seasons. Their last victory was pre-pandemic, November 2019, when Pete DeBoer was the Sharks head coach. San Jose has yet to beat them since then. Las Vegas, over all their years in regular season games, 18-1-3 against the Sharks. San Jose at this point is going against, a really good team, but also almost going against just one of those insurmountable, unlucky situations. You can't even buy a bounce. You can't even buy a game. And tonight, honestly, being down by a goal, late second period, going into the third period, it was close enough, right? Just get one back, tie it up, go from there, see where it takes you. But I think that's if that's the story of the moral victory tonight, it's not a great story. Las Vegas was the better team all the way around. First period, second period, third period. And I'll go back to this. I don't always like talking about shots on goal. In fact, I feel like it gets mentioned too much when you discuss gameplay or the Sharks. But it's so eye-catching that they had 4 and 6 and 7 shots on goal by period tonight. That's a lot lately to have single-digit shot totals in a period. Now, I know the NHL has changed a bit lately. I know that style of play is not what it used to be. I know that the Sharks are not the same team as they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when they would pump 45 shots in a game. In fact, we would sit here and complain about the opposite problem. You only scored 3 goals. You had 47 shots. Find a way to convert more. Well, now it's 17 total shots in a game. They got outshot 31-17, almost doubled up tonight. It's not even so much the 31 that they allowed. It's 17 shots on goal. The math just doesn't add up. How you're ever going to have success in this league with a 17-shot performance? Maybe if you just think about shot percentage and what, I mean, you're lining up to get, maybe if you're lucky, 2 goals a night that way. And 2 or fewer very rarely gets you the result. That usually gets you the L. So I think in a lot of ways, what are the Sharks' problems right now? Inconsistency, this, that. Defensively, they haven't been terrible. Las Vegas got 3. One was on a terrible pinball bouncing puck. Riley Smith scored twice. The Keegan Colasar goal, 2:16 into the game, that was Vegas doing Vegas in a 2-on-1. Defensively, the Sharks haven't been terrible. They're not allowing 6 and 7s like they were, I don't know, about a month or so ago. They've been allowing, almost all February, allowing 3s and 4s. And rarely a 2 or a 1. They did that last game against Seattle. But 3s and 4s, they haven't been terrible. but it's their offense that has just not been able to carry the weight. 17 shots doesn't even go to how many grade A scoring opportunities. Not dangerous with the puck, not creating enough. And to have Noah Gregor get San Jose's only goal, it's another game where you get it from a player like that, a young player, but when you're leaning on Couture, Meyer, Hurdle, and Burns, your established veteran scorers, when you're kind of leaning on them to do all the scoring, and they don't for a couple games, it gets really dry. So that's where the Sharks are at, I think, in terms of a shocking takeaway. And it started a couple weeks ago in that Edmonton game. They had 4 shots in the third period. It was like, wow, that was a really one-sided period the other way. And now there have been a couple games like this, and now to think that I would say 2 games lately. Was it against Boston on Saturday? And by the way, they've been playing a lot of games lately, so they kind of all meshed together. I think it was against Boston. Single-digit shot totals in every period. That is just not something that's been characteristic of Sharks hockey in recent years. So there is that. Let's break down the period, or the game period by period. First one, Reimer against the world, making a bunch of great stops. It was unfortunate that the Golden Knights scored first, but not highly surprising, the kind of opportunities they were getting. The Sharks had allowed, in 8 games recently, the opponent to score first. Then against Seattle, they reversed the trend. They led. They kind of took control of the game. And then tonight, Las Vegas scoring first. We all know the obvious, right? I'm no genius to tell you that chances are in the NHL, when you score first, you have a 70-something% chance of going on to win the game. I don't know why that is, because the other team was going to have to score at some point anyway, but there is an aspect of chasing the game instead of dictating the game. And the Sharks lately have been doing a lot of chasing of games instead of getting that first goal, playing with a lead, and feeling any kind of comfortable with it. I mean, honestly, that has not happened in, months at this point. But Las Vegas scoring first, you're thinking, all right, James Reimer is holding this thing together. And by the way, I talked about shots. I should have mentioned this too. Sharks with 4 total shots in the first period. They only had 1 shot chance, 1 shot on goal in the final 12:26 of the first period. So it was very dry going into the second. And then James Reimer doesn't come out. And you're actually wondering, is Reimer not out here because Bob Boughner just pulled the rug from underneath the Sharks? And Randy mentioned this on the broadcast. It's not far-fetched. And I thought it too, instantly thought it. Is this Bob saying, okay, James Reimer has covered up for you guys, has kept you in everything, and you guys need a wake-up call. You need a jolt. So I'm actually going to pull him now and see if that gets a response from you guys. Because apparently last game against Seattle, after he stopped something like 18 of 19 shots in the first period, and Sharks didn't do much, that was kind of the wake-up call. He went in and ripped the team in the room, apparently, as it relates to doing more for your goalie. And they responded. So I kind of wondered if that was the deal. Turns out it's way worse than that. It was, in fact, a lower body injury to James Reimer. And I was wondering if it was a breakaway chance that Las Vegas had. And you kind of saw with about 30 seconds left in the period. I saw on Twitter, I put a still image of it. Reimer kind of puts his glove on his midsection. He stretched out to make the save. I don't know if it was that in particular. And I know there is some speculation out there that potentially overuse is part of this injury. Did he play too much? Was 13 starts in a row too much? How can you say that, though? It wasn't like the Sharks had a lot of other options. Yeah, you could start Sawchenko. But if Reimer's saying I'm good to go, it's not like he was playing an extraordinarily unhealthy amount. He's playing more than a lot of other goalies do in the league. But for Reimer, this is not even close to the most he's ever played. He had 17 starts in a row, and then he had 11, I think, a couple years back with Toronto as well. I'm not saying that's not the total picture. It could be. It could be part of the answer. We don't know when, how, where the injury took place or what caused it. But to say that it was immediately fatigue related, I don't know. That is probably a stretch. at this point, unless he comes out and says it and admits it. But again, I think it's just a matter of playing more is going to put you in more game situations, and injuries do happen. The unfortunate part, the bigger part, is that Adin Hill has also been out and is not available at this present point. Now, it would be something if Hill were recovered in the next 3 days. He's going to have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to be out there, continue his practicing. Will he be ready by Saturday in Nashville coming into town? I don't know. But it's been a heck of a run lately with the Sharks losing Ferraro for essentially the rest of this season. And we don't even know the severity of James Reimer's injury. I guess there's also this too. It could be something relatively minor for Reimer, but he doesn't seem like the type to leave a game after 20 and instantly the team declared he's not coming back. That would lead me to believe that something, bigger needs addressing. And no update by the Sharks, by the way. They need their doctors to look at Reimer. And Bob, when asked, I know, just going back to the fatigue thing, because that's going to be a question. And I number one think, well, what else were you going to do to keep your team alive? He's your best option. He says he's good. You didn't force him into this. Wasn't ideal, but it's not Reimer's fault. It's not the organization's fault. And it wasn't blatant, he didn't play 6 games in 7 nights. That's where you get yourself hurt, right? Yeah, 3 and 4, but that's not the first time goalies have done that before. I think it's a matter of more playing opportunity potentially leads to just more things happening. If that's what you want to say, then yeah, that's definitely part of it. But to think that he was overworked, overplayed, and that's I don't know if you can make that connection unless he says so. And if he says so, then we're going with that. But I guess I'll wait and see on that. So, rough timing for the team. And overall, let me just address this. Maybe another point or two, and then I'll get to the questions and comments. Fatigue seems like it's starting to set in for this group. Drew mentioned it tonight, specifically with a couple players, but they're 54 games in. They just played 6 games in 10 days. This is not excuse time, by the way, for me. This is not me saying, well, poor them. It's your job. You're conditioned. You knew what the schedule was going in. Now, the Sharks are a bit shorthanded. They're relying on fewer people to do more things. Totally. I'm not sitting here saying, well, this is why they're losing and it's not their fault. Not it at all. I'm saying what you're seeing is a team that's just shorthanded and beat up and a bit not themselves. This is not the same team we witnessed in October and into November and had a good run to start the season. Even when they were hit by COVID, there was still some buzz around this team. And I hate to say it feels like it's evaporated, but it's going to be hard to find again. They've lost their way significantly since that point. And I don't think it's surprising. I mean, a schedule is grueling. And yeah, you're right. They just had 12 days off. I said you're right because I can hear you guys out there thinking about that. You're saying, wait, shouldn't they be fresh at this point? Yeah, probably. But, most of those, let's say they had 9 or 10 days, away from practices and stuff, was probably just recovering from the first 47 games or whatever it was. So I think what you're seeing right now is a team that's behind the curve in the dog days, and they will get a second wind and they will figure it out. And again, not excuses for them here, just reality of what you're seeing right now is a team that's really reaching for it and just they don't have it there. They just don't have it there in a lot of different ways. Was there one more point I wanted to make, or was that it? No, I think that might be it. All right. Let's dive into some of the chat. Oh, man, I'm scrolling back here. There's a lot to get to here. I hope Brody got my voicemail that you left me today. Eric, I might have. And by the way, you can always leave me a message at 510 343-3640. I don't know if I promote that enough here. I should probably make like a full screen like this that also has the phone number on there. I'll do that. You know what? I'll modify this one. Yes, I want you to subscribe. Thumbs up on this video right now while you're watching. I would greatly appreciate that. But if you ever want to leave me a voicemail, I've been responding to these. I've got a couple more coming out, in fact, in the next couple days. Leave me a voicemail. My phone number, I'll give it to you. I don't have it here. It's just 510-343-3640. Watch this. I'll type it up on the screen. I'm going to make my own comment here and then put it up on the screen. There you go. Look at it. I make my own graphics on the fly. Call me at that number right now. I'm not answering it, by the way, or whenever. Like, bookmark this phone number. Put it in your phone. Put it in your contacts. You leave me a message. I don't answer unless I'm doing live streaming, and I make that very obvious. You could leave if you don't like your message. You could erase it. You could try again. You could leave another one. I really want you to say what you want to say or ask what you want to ask, and I will respond to these in time and make a separate video about them. So, really appreciate it. Thanks, Eric, for mentioning that. I'm not mad, but I'm pretty mad. Reimer needed a break, but he was overworked, and now we got in a cluster with goaltending again. Thanks, Bob. Sarcasm. Okay, Brutus, I get it. I get it that you get it. I think the frustration lies with Reimer having played so well and was being the backbone of this team. Overworked, overplayed. I know that's going to be asked. I know that's going to be considered. Bob's response to that was, I guess that could be part of it, but I don't know that he fully understands the injury either. Right? It's a hard correlation to make. Was he playing? Yes. And I understand the immediate things that the brain puts together. Was he playing a lot? Yes. Did he get hurt? Yes. Bing, bing, bing. You want to put those together. Could it have also been he's playing a lot, putting himself in more athletic situations? Those sometimes lead to injury. Or it was just bound to happen. Let me ask this. Do we regret starting James Reimer against the Golden Knights tonight? Now, I think maybe the other thing would have been, it's not tonight so much as it was the weekend. So he played Thursday, off on Friday, played Saturday and Sunday, off on Monday, and played tonight on Tuesday. Yeah, he has been playing a lot. I'm not doubting that. But I don't think a coach or a player knowingly puts themselves in the situation where somebody could get hurt. You know, they don't do that. You don't do that to somebody. You don't say, well, get in there. You're like, if you had the indication that you were jeopardizing something, I truly, truly feel like Reimer would have said something, backed out of it, or Bob as a smart reader, or Nabokov, goalie coach, like they would have looked at it and said, I think we just don't even have this option right now. So that's my stance on that. Here's one from Pizza Ponytails, Pucks, and Porsche. Wow, that's a lot. The Sharks' problems seem to go from bad to worse by the game. And that is kind of true. P&P. Nice handle. It's either way, gassed or not, this team is playing, soft. No team is going to win putting up 16 shots in a game. Excuse me, it was 17. But to your point, the storylines keep getting worse, from a Ferraro injury to now this, to losing, a close enough game where, like, for example, tonight, would you rather have been down 4-0 after 2 and you had no chance? I mean, it's almost more frustrating when you're down by a goal for approximately 44 minutes. You're in the game for 44 minutes. Then when it's 3-1 and you didn't have anything going in the third period or all night, then you kind of know you're sunk. Held to less than 20 shots again. Let me see what else is in the comments here. Oh, we're going way back. Hey, the audio cable is plugged in. You can hear me. Oh, Darren likes the rocket intro. Well, I got to start with a bang. Oh, I see. So okay. So now people are, see, and I could sense this was a thing that among Sharks fans on social. Hang on, fatigue is a thing, just not for Reimer. It's a good point. What I'm saying is fatigue in how the Sharks look and are playing is showing. But to say that fatigue is so bad that it injures James Reimer, I don't know. I don't know that you can say that. And it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that's not my first inclination. I know that's a lot of people's first thought. Fatigue, yes. Fatigue, yes, as in not performing, yes. Fatigue to the extent that you're physically jeopardizing yourself, I don't know about that one. Possible, but I don't know. Riley, nothing personal, but I'm happy Vegas won. Well, I can see it in your avatar there. You've got Las Vegas, you've got the Preds, Carolina, and the Winnipeg Jets. Let's hope he's not placed on IR tomorrow. That's very true. Broden, Sharks have lost 11 times in a row to Las Vegas. Bruce loves the move that Merkley made at the end. Yeah, you know what? As he did that, he kind of navigated, kind of down towards the right dot and in towards the crease. I was like, that's Dan Boyle right there. Time for the kids to keep stepping up and learn for next year. Maybe that's what it's about. This team looks gassed. I feel they need a change. Well, what is the change? Where does it come? And how does it make sense? Changing just to change, especially if it's a long-term effect, really got to think this out. Team doesn't look like they've lost their heart. I would agree. I feel like they've lost their lungs, and appropriate to your name, wheezing lungs. It does feel like they've lost maybe their lungs and their legs, but not the heart. It is different, huh? We've seen Sharks teams, well, last year, seemed like they unraveled. They only played, 56 total games, but at the 40-game mark, things were kind of falling apart. This year, 54 games in, and they've got a ways to go still, and they're struggling. They have been struggling. I mean, literally a lot of January, almost all of February, but they haven't totally unraveled. I will say that, and I think there is something to that. Hurdle with a single shot on goal in the last 2 games. Do you know what? Didn't even, makes sense watching. I didn't go back and double check the stats, but that is definitely something. Here's another one, and everybody's talking about this, the coaching situation, running Reimer into the ground. Sawchenko has played great in the games he's come into. So I've already talked a lot about Reimer, but let me take this chance to pump up Zach Sawchenko for just a second. I mean, here's a guy who now has 3 appearances this season. Let me just double check these appearances. Was it January 2nd? He came into that game against Pittsburgh. It was already heavy one-sided, and he was pretty good. And then didn't he come in a second time recently at home just to get in there for the first or last 2 minutes of a period, I think, while Reimer had an equipment issue? And then tonight plays 40 minutes. That's huge. In a game where his team was down, they tied it, then they went down again and ended up losing by 2. But how hard is it if you're Zach Sawchenko to have 3 game appearances in a 2+ month span? Practice cannot keep you fresh. Practice cannot keep you, rhythmically correct. Practice cannot give you the adrenaline and the heart rate up and down and the games. It can't do that. So hard for Zach Sawchenko. I give him full credit tonight. He faced 10 shots in the second, 10 shots in the third, 18 saves on 20 total shots. Against the Golden Knights, they're dangerous. They score a bunch. Ooh, by the way, though, Las Vegas, in their last 8 games, has just 2 wins. Both of those 2 wins against the Sharks. Forgot to mention that before. Still, saw the way they played tonight, saw the way that Sawchenko played tonight. I said it before, this has nothing to do with a fatigue level for Reimer. This was more of a mental thing I was saying for Reimer a while back. Wouldn't it be nice to give him a night just in the press box, like, for example, this past weekend, playing a Saturday and a Sunday? Give him one of those nights in the press box just to mentally unwrap things. He was playing good during the 13-game-in-a-row streak. I think he was great last game against Seattle. But maybe one of those nights off might have helped him in the long run to bounce back even stronger. I'm saying it more from a mental reprieve than a physical reprieve. So I've been saying all along, yes, Sawchenko, if he's there and Hill is that far away, probably going to see Zach Sawchenko once in a while. I'm happy for him to come in there and do what he did tonight. Does it buy him more opportunity? I don't know. Is Aiden Hill ready right around the corner? I don't know. But I think a statement was made tonight by Sawchenko, and not just the way he played, but the few opportunities he's had since beginning of January to make an impact and how rusty he could have been tonight. I was highly impressed. Let's see what else we got. What is my opinion about CCM and other hockey companies that are going to stop using Alexander Ovechkin and other Russian players for their marketing? Not aware of that. That is a deep level issue. And the NHL, with a lot of Russian-born players, has a lot of crossover into this stuff. And you know what? I do have some thoughts. I will save this for a different time and a different video. I do want to circle back on one thing. I said, the day that this all kind of officially started in Ukraine, that Alexander Ovechkin, the media was hounding and really trying to get quotes from him. And I understand what they saw in his background and his Instagram profile picture. I totally understand that. But I also realize that nothing he could have said in that moment would help anybody in real life. Certainly doesn't swing favoritism or hate or love for him either way. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy no matter what you do. And there will be a time and a place for him to maybe be asked about this and speak more about it. Of course, people are going to demand answers at some point, and that's totally fine. But literally the day that war kind of starts in the world, I don't know if that's the day to go in on a hockey player, right? Just timing, right? Yeah, eventually, of course, I understand. I get it. I know the questions. I know the topics. I get it, totally. And something like this, I don't know. What if what you're suggesting is a real thing? What does it do to help anybody? I would rather see things that have a tangible impact than this situation. I don't know what this does to bring peace. So I'll just leave that one right there. Again, I've got a lot more to say. I don't want to leave this hanging and feel like I'm cutting it short or I don't want to address it. I do. I just don't know that this is the entire place, and I'm not ready for that one yet. Zach was at the game tonight. Oh, so you're in Las Vegas right now. We looked like garbage. Bamboo Soldier. Always appreciate that. Felix, hello. Good luck trying to address that in your video without getting political. It's very, very hard. So true. Is Maddie in here? Oh, I saw some Maddie. Does everyone understand my lobbying for Sawzy now? Hey, I am I'm totally with you. And you know what? Andrew checking in from Japan knows this. Not the way we wanted Reimer to get a rest. Go back on my videos. I've literally been saying I don't want to discipline James Reimer. I want to reward him with the opportunity to just take one night off, put him in the press box. But again, even that, I didn't think that playing him all the way through was room to cause an injury. So I just want to separate those things. I know we're all upset. We just need to get some context here. Put some reality into it. And Kevin, let me comment on this. Let me go back to, you did notice that an Ovechkin TV commercial with Backstrom got pulled. And by the way, good use of all the extra characters there on your computer. Got pulled immediately. Now that I understand. People, they just don't want the visuals. That's not something that has good taste right now. I get it. Okay. That makes sense. But some of the other things we're talking about, it's fine if they happen. Absolutely. I just don't know what that's going to do to help. The Sharks season has been disappointing. Player management has been as well. Burns is getting ran into the ground as well. Well, see, now that's another one. I mean, if people are saying James Reimer's starting too much, I want those same people to tell me that Brent Burns should only be playing 22 minutes a night. Burnsy's built for this. You think Reimer's not? I mean, and maybe that's an argument. So, hey, let me do this real quick. Just to change gears. Where are you watching from tonight? Where are you watching this stream? This always gives me great pleasure at the end here to kind of get a location, where you're watching, what you're doing tonight. Give me a quick little hit on the live chat. What's your location? And I will get through as many of those as I can. Maddie's making waffles at 10:30 p.m. because rules don't exist anymore. That's, you know what? Good for you, Maddie. Put a lot of syrup on there. Put some like chocolate syrup or blueberry. Like really do it up. Don't just stop at waffles. Like go in on it. All right, let's go through the locations here. Klitschur 39 in Boston. Felix, as always, in Fremont. 408, Films 408, downtown San Jose. Stockton in the house, little 209. Marin County, you're right across the Golden Gate from me right now. Ooh. Woke Jasmine is in Alabama, originally from California. Uncle Brody, Ontario. Now, Xanafite, I'm glad you mentioned, or you put the Canadian flag there, because Ontario is also a place in California. I might have guessed that. San Jose, Ripon, California, Lawrenceville, Georgia. Oh my goodness, the chat just went off right there. Checking in from San Jose. Oh, Delaware in the house. Always love that. Arizona vacation. Caker Girl, tell us about it. You were planning to be there for spring training, weren't you? Oh, and that's another thing, by the way. What a day for me. Let me talk about me. It's a bad day for baseball. Had the Sharks lose their goalie, and baseball's getting delayed by a couple weeks probably. At least the first two series. That's rough for a lot of you, I know. Alden is in San Mateo. Gig Harbor, Washington. Originally from Dublin. Oh, Andrew's in Vegas. Always from Fujisawa, Japan. Andrew, you know I love that, man. That's you win tonight so far. Chico, California. Berkeley in the house. I don't need to look up B-Town. I know what that is. Thank you, Bamboo. San Diego. South San Francisco. Caker Girl just loves waffles anytime. So do I. Oh, it's National Pancake Day. Is that true? Clovis, California. Ooh, blackout area for the Sharks. Look at the locations here. Rancho Cucamonga. Chino Hills. Is it Bothell, Washington? I've never heard of that one. Salinas. Narnia all day, baby. Sonora, up in the foothills. All right. I almost thought that said Sonoma. Hello from South San Jose, Roach Dog. So you're probably like near 101, where 87 or 85 hits 101 down there. Is that about right? You're in Curtis Brown territory. San Francisco. Middle Earth. And what was the last one here I wanted to? Oh, Wheezing Lungs. What's my go-to beer? Well, IPAs in general. Double IPAs are even better. And triple IPAs are really where it's at. Although I have to say, I'm a connoisseur of all beers. I like to try new things at this point more than I need to have the same thing over and over. So don't get me wrong. There are some go-tos. There's some staples. Well, anything from Fieldwork, pretty much. There's a beer called Chuck's from a place called Danville Brewing in Danville. They have an outstanding double IPA. CHUX Chuck's. Phenomenal. Pairs well with pretty much anything. All right. I think that's going to do it for tonight. I've been streaming for 35 minutes, all after a Sharks defeat. A very frustrating Sharks defeat. It was literally tonight, injury, and insults. We had Randy and Drew, which was fun. Drew, by the way, is done with his studio responsibilities this year for pre- and post-game live. So you're only going to see him now on the game broadcasts occasionally. And he'll do radio work with Dan Rusanowski. But as for the plan right now, we've seen the last of Remenda, which is why I wanted to have him here on Night Shift a couple games ago. A couple of clips of that video have been put out. I'll have a couple more that, in case you missed it, they'll be out soon. So don't forget, subscribe to the channel right now if you're not already. Make sure you don't miss a thing. I don't know what else to say. I've run out of time, but I do know this song is ending soon. I'm going to go home. I'm going to have a couple nights off. I'll be making more videos until then. But for sure, the next time I'll absolutely see you is on Saturday, Sharks and Preds, starting at 4:30. All right? Good night, everybody. Be safe.